All right, thanks, Leah. I'll call us to order. Welcome to the meeting of the Built Environment and
we're working by the end of this year to, well, by July, you all will see your draft greenhouse gas inventories for your local jurisdiction. You'll have time to provide comment, have one-on-one meetings with our technical team to discuss them as needed. And then we will work towards finalizing the inventories, doing contribution analyses for each jurisdiction of why emissions are changing over time. We'll provide final data summary sheets and fact sheets for your jurisdiction by the end of the year and publish an updated methodology report as well. So that is one of the key deliverables that we're working on this year underneath this section of the work program. Next slide, please. So this is you guys. Actually, one back up one more. Nope, backwards. You're going the wrong way. Yep, right there. There we go. BEEAC, that's you guys. So we have a section in our work program and budget that involves supporting you all. Unlike the last one, the policy committee, focuses on really high level, policy type work and advises the COG board. And here you guys get into more nitty gritty, more trainings. How do we lift programs, programs off the ground? How do we answer a lot of the questions that you all are kind of dealing with in supporting your implementation at the local level. We are doing that mid-course review I mentioned before, sort of falls underneath this territory of BEEAC. There is a survey out to you all right now related to the mid-course review on where you guys are at on implementing a lot of great measures that fall underneath the climate and energy space. And we're going to use that to inform a mid-course review report for later this year. And we're also working on, updating outcomes of not just how are we doing on emissions, but what have we been seeing in green building growth? What have we been seeing in EV ownership growth and EV infrastructure growth, and sort of a lot of these key performance indicators that help, show how we're doing on climate progress. So we're going to fold all this great information into a report, along with wanting to highlight some of your best practices as well that you all are working on locally. So next slide, please. All right, here we go. Energy infrastructure efficiency and renewables. So this sort of digs more into the space that we do outside of BEEAC to support more technical information and data-driven decision-making in this space. So there's a lot of different things that fall underneath this category, but if it certain projects outside of BEEAC meetings and stuff like that kind of fall underneath this area. So next slide, please. Adaptation and resiliency, I would say in this space, actually that coastal storm risk study bullet, that shouldn't be in here. That was a holdover from another year. But two big things that are happening in this space and have been happening is the Military Installation Resilience Program, or the MIR program that we've been working on for a few years now, supporting the planning for resilience both on and off bases across the region. So there's a lot of this type of work going on across the region. And we also have a transportation resilience planner in our Department of Transportation that we coordinate with that has developed a transportation resilience improvement plan and has continued to work on next steps for that. So I know a lot of you all participate directly in that process as well. Next slide, please. So the Air and Climate Public Advisory Committee advises both CPC and MWAC, which is our Regional Air Quality Committee, on energy, climate, and air quality issues. And they have been focusing a lot on environmental justice and equity over the years. And so they have been providing a lot of input towards the Air Quality Environmental Justice Action Plan and involved in that planning process this year, as well as updating of our environmental justice toolkit they've been working on. The original one was developed under ACPEC's leadership in 2017. And so that's going, having a redo, a refresh and an update. And the Climate and Energy Leadership Awards, they are the judges. They provide direction for this program and they provide the judging for the program. And that is being launched next week, I believe, this year's Climate and Energy Leadership Awards program. Next slide, please. So we do have kind of this other area of projects that we focus and work on. And so some of this has to do with the grant work that I was talking about earlier, but we are currently working on the development of a comprehensive climate action plan for the full MSA region, which is a lot broader than the COG region. And that involves things that we have done with the in our 2020 climate and energy action plan. So we're updating some things from that, like projections and greenhouse gas measures analysis, but it takes things a lot further, some of the requirements of this plan. And so I think it's really interesting to get into specifically focusing on LIDAC communities and doing a LIDAC community analysis and how they benefit from this work that's being proposed for this region. Workforce development analysis, which we are going to kick off today, and you'll hear more about today and have discussions on today. And an air quality benefits analysis. So because of these greenhouse gas measures and these greenhouse gas benefits, what are the air quality benefits for the whole region? And what are the benefits for LIDAC communities as well? So I think it's really interesting to get into this work and take things a little bit further than we have in the past. And then there's a lot of coordination with our Regional Clean Cities Coalition and the state coalitions, and work in the EV space that we do. CFI falls underneath here. We are a go for phase 1, which is pre-construction planning, initial site designs, and working through the NEPA process. There's a caveat in phase 2 of whether CFIs will be able to move to phase 2, but right now we are a go on phase 1, and so that is incorporated into this work program and budget. Next slide, please. We do provide a lot of COG board and member support. So, sometimes if we get calls or emails from our local jurisdictions asking for other types of support that don't, directly fall underneath this work program or budget, that, maybe, is a little bit more locally tailored, or some needs that the COG board call out. We have this kind of area in our budget where we can charge to provide that type of support. Next slide, please. So John Snar on our team has run the solid waste and recycling program for a number of years now. And so they are currently in the middle of a battery management campaign that's been very popular in the region. It's kind of a subset or offshoot of the Go Recycle campaign that we work on. And they also have, in the recent years, have been working a lot on organics composting and how to expand that across the region. Next slide, please. So urban forestry, we do have another subcommittee to our CPC, is the Regional Tree Canopy Subcommittee. And this is a group of foresters from across the region. And, there's been a lot of work done in this space, but I'd say maybe a focus for this year is the Regional Tree Canopy Action Plan. The other year, the COG board adopted a goal to kind of maintain a 50% tree canopy across the region. And we kind of hover above and below that line of 50%. So this group of foresters is working on a plan to help us continue to meet that 50% goal. Next slide, please. And there you have it. That is hopefully a quick overview of our work program and budget for the next year. And I'd be happy to take any questions, or if you have questions afterwards, you can reach out to Jeff King or myself. Thank you.
Thanks, Maya. Does anyone have any questions or comments they wanted to make? We have a couple minutes here before the next agenda item. Or if you want to get input via email separately, Maya, is there a deadline that you have in mind that you'd like to hear from folks?
Yeah, just by the end of this month, we'll present this to CPC in the second half of May. So anytime between now and the end of the month, we're happy to take any comments or questions you all might have.
Okay, so by end of the month, get your comments or questions over to Maya on that excellent overview. Okay, I see a thanks from Valerie, but I'm not seeing any other comments or questions in the chat. So thanks again. We will move on to the next agenda item. So for this next item, we are going to have a jurisdiction roundtable exchange. I'm going to open it up for the member jurisdictions to comment on the framing questions, which will help contextualize the next agenda item on workforce development. So let me read the framing questions for you. If you can pull those up on the screen for me.
Robert, are you able to bring the agenda up on the screen and share the questions?
And I have it in an email as well.
Yes, I can. Okay. Can everyone see that?
Yeah, I'll read the framing questions here. So local government members will highlight energy events, projects, and programs. They will also address the following questions in preparation for the main agenda item. So framing question number 1, what climate-related workforce development programs, such as clean fuel automotive technology, tree maintenance, electrician, HVAC, waste collection education, solar installers, etc., are available in your community? Framing question 2, are you coordinating with your economic development office? And framing question number 3, how do you partner with or promote local climate-related workforce development programs? So please include your name and jurisdiction when giving your update, and keep your comments brief so that we get to hear from as many jurisdictions as we can within the designated time for this agenda items. And if there are other stakeholders joining us other than the COG member jurisdictions, such as schools, utilities, and the private sector, I'll ask them to comment as well if there's time. So we will start with our Maryland local governments. Is there anyone from Maryland who wants to start us off?
Yeah, hi, this is Maddie from the city of Bowie. And one of the programs that the city is going to be, we haven't started yet, but we recently are working with the county to develop a workforce development center. So part of that is going to have, we're going to be bringing in, or actually not bringing in, but we're going to have a relationship with BG&E. They have a workforce development program, and part of that is energy efficiency. So we're going to kind of combine, what their program is into the program that we are starting sometime in May. So that is one of the things that we're doing, and we're always looking for other programs that are within the sphere of sustainability to join us in the new program that we're creating at our Kent Hill Center. So that's kind of a couple of things. We're also trying to see if we can bring some things into the public school system and work through our green system, our green schools programs that we have in the city, and kind of mesh a little bit of all of that into one big kind of thing through our workforce development center. So that's about it.
Okay, thanks, Maddie, for that update from the city of Bowie, Maryland. Do we have other Maryland local governments that want to give an update on those framing questions? And I'll just reread those real quick. Number one, what climate-related workforce development programs are available in your community? Number two, are you coordinating with your economic development office? And number three, how do you partner with or promote local climate-related workforce development programs? Anyone else from Maryland local governments?
Hi, yeah, this is Doria Estrada with the City of Tacoma Park. So we're pretty small, and unfortunately, we don't have someone in our economic development role at the moment. So if you know someone looking, there is an opening in Tacoma Park. But I did come from this work in a prior local government, so I think this is really important, and I'm actually glad you're having this as a discussion today. I just wanted to add that we're a very small office too, but we're starting to coordinate with Electrify DC. The Healthy Homes Fair is coming up on May 10th, and a big part of that is workforce development for electrification. And they've been developing a kind of a pooled list of resources for folks that want to move into those fields. They're setting up a platform called Electrify DMV that's going to be a hub for a lot of that information. So while we don't have like a separate city program, we try to bridge like with other things that are going on in the region, especially for electrification work.
Thanks, Dory. That's a great update from the city of Tacoma Park. And I had the same question that Lindsay did. If you have access to that job listing, perhaps you can post that in the chat, because I think that sounds like a really great opportunity that folks would like to know about and share with their networks. Any other response from Maryland local governments? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to Virginia local governments. Anyone online want to respond to the framing questions about climate-related workforce development programs available in your community, coordination with your economic development office, and how do you partner with or promote local climate-related workforce development programs? All right, anybody from Virginia local governments want to chime in? I see that. Thank you, Lindsay, for posting the link in the chat to the Green Jobs Board for Montgomery County. Anybody from Virginia local governments want to chime in on the questions for the peer roundtable exchange? Oh, thanks, Dory. Just posted the link to that job posting. Okay, hearing none, we will move on to my own jurisdiction, the District of Columbia. Do we have Katya here on the line to give an update on workforce?
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Katya Boutnick, Energy Policy Analyst with Department of Energy and Environment, one of Al's colleagues. And yeah, to give an update on where we're at with workforce development, DOE actually has 8 green training programs that we run in-house. I'd say the one that is most directly aligned with climate-related workforce development is our Green Trades DC program. This is somewhat of a new program that started around a year ago. It's transformed out of our SolarWorks DC program. but it's basically a partnership with IBEW Local 26, and it augments their traditional electrical trade apprenticeship, connecting training opportunities to solar installation work and other electrification and green building projects. We're trying to build some of these opportunities into our Solar for All program, for instance. And the partnership basically creates a pre-apprenticeship for district residents as well, who might need a little help reaching the levels in education and training required to actually start the apprenticeship. And it also provides wraparound services, trying to expand childcare access and transportation assistance to help district residents stay in these programs, because that's been a barrier that we've noticed for district residents, particularly for union trades, because pretty much all of the locals have their apprenticeship programs located outside of DC. So this is a partnership trying to get more district residents to basically enroll in the trade apprenticeships. And so far it's been working really well. We also work with a lot of the other building trade unions in the region. And then another one to mention is DOEE also funds training opportunities through our DCSCU, through the Train Green program. And Train Green provides no-cost training and certification opportunities for CBEs and eligible businesses. So district residents can acquire new or enhanced skills, knowledge, or certifications around energy efficiency, renewable energy design, construction, inspection, and maintenance. And the other programs that DOE runs are related to stormwater infrastructure, and we have a Green Fellows program for graduate students. So yeah, 8 total programs. The second question, if we're coordinating with our economic development office, yes, we've had a lot of progress on that front in the past year. Last year, we drafted a 3-year strategic plan for education and workforce development. And the strategic plan groups actions that we like to take into, I guess, 3 buckets. First being building our own internal capacity to follow best practices in managing workforce development programs and coordinating resources. The second is external relationships and roles, and defining DOE's role in the development of quality green jobs in the district. And then the third is program sustainability, which is basically securing sustainable funding for all of these different programs and initiatives. So in that effort, we've created a pretty formal partnership with the Workforce Investment Council. We meet on a monthly basis. We try to coordinate data sharing and labor market analysis. Ultimate goal being trying to build out a dashboard for the green economy within the district, which tracks green jobs and employers. We're also trying to work with the WIC and organizing some employer listening sessions this year for targeted industries like green buildings. We used to work with the Department of Employment Services more directly on our SolarWorks program, but we're still trying to keep them in the fold as well. And then the last question, how do we partner with local climate-related workforce development programs, promote? We last year launched a Green Buildings Career Map, which is hosted on the Building Innovation Hub's website. It's a really cool interactive tool where you can kind of chart your interests and see, like, if you want to reach the specific job title, it shows you all of the different steps you would need to take to get there within the map, and then also links to training programs that are available locally to try and achieve those career steps. And then we also do a ton of partnerships and outreach with high schools, the University of the District of Columbia, and various other educational programs. We're very intentional about connecting our educational programming to promoting green careers and training opportunities. We see it as kind of one continuous pipeline. And then some other cool stuff that's been going on with our Green Trades DC program. They've been very creative in trying to promote it. The union has used a lot of digital types of advertising and social media, and they've also partnered with the Mystics and Spirit to promote the program to women specifically, and they've created a lot of cool ads around that. And it has driven a lot of traffic to their website around all the apprenticeship offerings. And that's about it. I'll stop there.
All right, thanks, Katja, for that excellent overview. Maddie Bizzurdo from the city of Bowie asked, if you could share the link. So I think I found the link. Please correct me if I'm wrong there. And
Yeah, you did. I already opened it. Real cool.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I want to copy something you guys are doing.
Yeah, and yeah, Katja, if you have any other links that you want to post on there, feel free to throw those in the chat, or if you wanted to throw your contact information in the chat, so that if
Yeah,
people have more questions, they could reach you.
yeah, definitely. And please don't be shy to reach out if you want to coordinate or ask questions on anything. Very happy to do that.
And Chair Carr, we also have Crystal McDonald here from DCSU. Not to put you, I'm not putting you on the spot, Crystal, to say anything because it was not planned this way. But she is the director of Accounts Management and Workforce Development Program at the DCSU, and we have two. We are caucus in our, I don't know, 7th year of being recipients of the DCSU program, and we have two externs in our office today.
Thank you. Yeah, Crystal, yeah, again, not to put you on the spot, but if you wanted to chime in, feel free or not.
Yes. So thank you. Thank you for the invitation to join you. And Katya, thank you for mentioning the DCSU's Train Green program, which is really focused on contractors or the contractor community with the credentialing and certification courses that we offer at no cost. And this is to enhance their skills and marketability and hopefully improvement in the procurement process to achieve awards and grants to do the green buildings work here in the city. The other program we do run is the Workforce Development Program, and that's where twice a year we have residents who join us for about 4 months, and we work with local contractors and other organizations to help them to discover new careers in energy efficiency and sustainability. So we really rely on our mentors and host sites like HOG. Thank you for having externs. We really rely on you guys' partnerships to offer training and jobs development, hopefully leading to full-time employment for our residents. So thank you, and I'll just drop a link to our website in the group chat. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Crystal. Appreciate that update, and I think we are right on time for our next agenda item. So this agenda item is a panel about building a climate-ready workforce in the region as part of EPA's CPRG, Comprehensive Climate Action Plan, CCAP, grant program requirements. COG is required to conduct an analysis of anticipated workforce shortages that could prevent achieving the goals described in the CCAP and identify potential solutions and partners. The panelists for the discussion are Tabara Smith, the Regional Director for DMV Emerald Cities Collaborative, John Deadweiler, the Program Director of Workforce Development and Continuing Education at Prince George's Community College, and Professor Warren Lipson, who teaches both energy-related credit and non-credit courses at Montgomery County Community College. I'll facilitate the discussion with 2 rounds of prepared questions that the panelists will verbally address. After each round, a few questions from the audience will be taken. But before we launch into the questions, Deb Harris with ICF will provide context related to CPRG's workforce planning analysis requirements. ICF is supporting COG on their CPRG implementation. Take it away, Deb.
And Robert, if you could share the screens or the slides again, thanks.
Thank you, Chair Carr. I promise to keep this brief so we can get to the interesting discussion to hear about the different programs across the region. And I was taking copious notes on the roundtable update. There's a lot of great nuggets that we can start to pull through in the CPRG workforce planning requirements.
Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Excellent, thank you. So as mentioned, I'm going to give just a very brief overview of the EPA requirements for workforce development. I will note that there is additional potential guidance and a forthcoming training from EPA next week, and so this might adjust some, but the general guidance that's out there is what's reflected here. And before I get into the specifics, I will note there is some flexibility in the requirements, so we certainly have some questions building on the roundtable discussion that we would like to hear from you all what would be most helpful to reflect within the CCAP. Next slide, please. I'm going to run through very briefly the requirements of CCAP overall, which Maya already touched on, so we'll breeze right through that. The workforce planning requirements, the approach at a high level we're anticipating taking right now, and then we have some time for questions and feedback. Next slide. As I mentioned, Maya already talked about this. The very high level of the overview of the CCAP requirements is represented here on the screen. As a reminder, CCAPs are due December 1st, and this covers the COG region as well as some additional counties to the west of the COG region in Virginia and one in West Virginia. There are a number of requirements with this program, as we've talked about multiple times before, but what we're really focusing on today in our discussion is getting into the workforce analysis. Everything that you see on the wheel on the right-hand side, starting with the greenhouse gas measures and then going clockwise around back to the inventory, are things that need to be developed as a part of the CCAP to talk about the implementation path forward for the different measures. So we'll be working through those different components, as Maya mentioned. And again, this is the kind of kickoff of the workforce analysis piece. And I'll be talking about how we're going to go through that approach of different types of engagement and data analytics. Next slide. Just as a reminder for folks, the current greenhouse gas reduction measure list is represented on the screen here. These were all developed through the Priority Climate Action Planning process in late 2023 and early 2024, based on a variety of different input mechanisms. Because of the robust planning in the region, we opted to stick with the list as it stood, but add in some additional aspects that will be important to the regions. More specifically, we're working with different jurisdictions across the region to develop a measure regarding data centers. So that is forthcoming, but for the most part, the other measures that are on here really cover the buildings and clean energy sector, transportation, very aligned with the TPB analyses and goals that are already out there, and then also focused on waste and land use. Next slide. At the high level, the CPRG workforce planning requirements are broken into two buckets. The first is an analysis of anticipated workforce shortages that could prevent from achievement of goals or different measures within the CCAP. And then the building on that, the second piece is to identify potential solutions and partners that could help address those challenges. These are quite broad, and EPA does not specify necessarily you have to quantify or qualify any of these. So the approach that we're taking is kind of a multifaceted approach to get to these two general buckets, with the overall intended outcome of having a kind of a blueprint for potential solutions to address workforce shortages that takes into account all the great work already going on within the region, as well as the interconnected nature of the DMV region across Virginia, DC, and Maryland. Next slide. What we're thinking through in terms of the analysis is really a four-pronged approach, I would say. The first is a forecast, which identifies near and long-term shortages where the demand for jobs is potentially greater than supply. We're anticipating using some tools to do this. If folks are familiar with Lightcast, that's something that we're exploring, which pulls a lot of data on current jobs and labor across different sectors as they relate to the different measures. So we'll be looking kind of for some shorter term projections in the next few years, and then through 2035 is the data we have available right now, where we're looking at things like electricians, HVAC contractors, and trying to see where those specifics are in terms of the jobs available now. We'll also be looking to understand from you all and from different stakeholders, from on the ground experience, qualitatively, where do we see shortages? And so that will come from talking to different potential employers. That will also come from talking to different trade schools or learning through different apprenticeship programs, where that demand could be potentially greater than supply currently today. And then also thinking about that in the larger context of if these measures in the CCAP are implemented, would that demand supply interaction shrink or grow? So we anticipate that a lot of these measures will require increased workforce, as we know through the region. I think luckily there's a lot of great work already, but trying to understand through 2050 where those bigger gaps might be and what can be done today to build on what's already happening in the region to ensure that there's a path potentially forward for net zero where workforce is not going to be a hindrance to that. The next piece is on alignment, so aligning investments and training opportunities to measures. So looking at the different types of workforce that could be required, making sure that those types of jobs and sectors are aligned to the different measures that are within the Comprehensive Climate Action Plan, and then doing a mapping and understanding where the existing training opportunities are now to help bolster those different sectors and skills needed, and then where the gaps are. So we'll be looking at that alignment through kind of a bit of a SWOT analysis approach. And then the next two buckets in here will really help feed that forecast and alignment. We are planning to work with COG to go through a series of engagements, still kind of sorting through the specifics of this, but these fall in the communicate and collaborate buckets here to work with different partners across the region to identify, again, kind of baselining what's already happening and then priorities of kind of a wish list with some reasonable bounds on it about what those priorities and solutions could look like in the long term, and starting to think about what types of opportunities for funding or otherwise there could be to actually implement those solutions and who the required partners would be. And as I mentioned a few times, communication and engaging you all, this is the first in the series of discussions we'll be looking to hold around workforce, but also looking to really engage those folks on the ground and different partners through the region about impacts and what could help bolster their work. So this is the four kind of pronged approach. It's a mix of a qualitative and quantitative aspects, but really, again, with the ultimate outcome of trying to have something that's actionable to help to fill potential gaps and identify what those gaps might be. Next slide. I talked about this in kind of those four prongs, but the basics process we'll be going through is reviewing the labor market to identify the needs, again, as compared to the measures, identifying existing program opportunities, funding and training or otherwise, to support measure implementation, and then identifying what those potential solutions and partnerships would be to fill the gaps. So we'll go through each of these steps, and the engagement would occur across each of these steps. What we're thinking through right now is a process where we'll be collecting the baseline information starting with today and in another meeting or a series of meetings with stakeholders, and then doing a process to identify funding streams, collecting information from you all and based on our own expertise, working with COG, and then identifying those solutions again through mainly stakeholder discussions and reviewing different types of information that's available across the region through websites, job boards, etc. Can go to the next slide. One thing I do want to highlight, and I'm not going to read this slide, but an important aspect of the CPRG guidance is alignment and understanding of the Department of Labor Good Jobs principles. This is currently still within the guidance that's available from EPA, so something that we are taking into account. This is just a very brief summary, but things that we have to keep in mind as we're going through the process of identifying potential solutions. So making sure that these are front of mind in the discussion. They cover things like different approaches on recruitment and hiring, fair recruitment and hiring, benefits, empowerment and representation, culture, working conditions, all of the things that Department of Labor has outlined as principles for good jobs and quality jobs. Next slide. So we talked through this initial kind of stage setting questions. We do have some more specific questions that we would love input on. I know we covered the first piece on the programs that folks wanted to give kind of a brief update on earlier. As I mentioned, we'll be doing a bit of a review on this online through literature and discussions, but we would love to hear anything else from you all, or if there's someone else you suggest that we talk to within your county or organization, we would love to get their contact information to ensure they're on our list of stakeholders to be working with. The other aspect that we're looking for is any data or resources that we should be considering as a part of the analysis. I was copying all the websites that were in the chat. If there are other things that are out there that we should be considering, we'd love to hear that from you. And I believe you could just do a follow-up email with Leah and Maya, and we can make sure we get that information across these questions. The other thing I'll mention is we will be also looking at information coming through the mid-course review survey. If you notice, there is a question in there around workforce development that is asking around if you are currently promoting or providing any of the following initiatives around workforce development. So we'll be looking at that as another lead in to also find more information to support this analysis. Those are the questions we have. Maybe we could just pause for a moment to see if there's any immediate response, or if folks want to put anything in the chat before we talk about specific next steps.
Thanks, Deb. Yeah, does anybody have comments or questions at this point? Feel free to raise your hand or just unmute yourself and chime in. Okay, I don't see any raised hands.
All right.
Al, I didn't raise my hand, sorry.
Yeah,
Al,
go right ahead, Valerie.
okay, sorry. Is that we have tried to put together a workforce development program. So working closely with the universities around us, since we have so many, is something that we have explored and will continue to do. So that is definitely a partner organization we suggest to work with.
Which universities, Valerie, if you don't mind?
We were trying to work with Virginia Tech.
Okay, great. Thanks. We'll probably be in touch to get a little more information around that. Thank you.
Thanks, Valerie. Other questions or comments? Looks like Kokomo, did you have a question or a comment? Oh, sorry. I see you were just stating your name and affiliation in the chat. Thank you for doing that.
Right.
All right. I don't see any other raised hands.
Great. Thanks, Neely. I saw your link in the chat just now too. And perfect. Right. So if you have other links that you think would be helpful to share, feel free to put them in the chat, or again, follow up with Leah and Maya over email on some of the information that's there. We would appreciate it greatly. Just move to the next slide. This is reiterating everything I just said, but any information you could possibly share that would be helpful. Please also make sure you're completing the mid-course evaluation survey. And then COG and ICF are beginning to talk through more of the specifics around outreach and engagement in the coming weeks. So please be on the lookout for anything around there. And I'm sure we'll have some follow-up questions around specific stakeholders as we're trying to narrow down the list of folks that we really need to be engaging with and talking through. I think that's it for me. I promised I'd keep it short so we can get to the panel discussion.
Okay. Yeah. Any other parting comments or questions for Deb here? If not, thank you very much. We are ahead of schedule, so we can move on to round one of the panel discussion. So welcome again to our panelists. We have John Detweiler, Program Director, Workforce Development and Continuing Education for Prince George's Community College. We have Tavares Smith, Regional Director, DMV Emerald Cities Collaborative, and Warren Lipson, Montgomery County Community College. So we have 3 questions for round 1. So I'll read question number 1 and I'll address this to all 3 of the panelists. What career sectors is your workforce development program focused on? So go ahead, whoever wants to respond first, just go right ahead.
Okay, I guess I'll go first. This is Warren Lupson from Montgomery College. You know, the different sectors that we have that we're looking at, we offer career and technical education program in a lot of different disciplines. You know, applied geography, architectural technology, automotive technology, the building trades, which is electric, HVAC, carpentry, things, construction management, environmental horticulture, and interior design. So we have a variety of stuff that we do offer.
Thank you. Good morning, Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go right ahead. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is John Dedwall. I'm the program director for Prince George's Community College's Sustainable Energy Workforce Development Program. And our current courses that we offer are very similar to my colleague at Montgomery College. We offer solar, weatherization, Maryland home improvement certification. Under our transportation sector, we offer the American Service Excellence Hybrid Electric Vehicle preparation, HVAC, electrical, and the like. And so we are very, very excited about what we're offering and plan to expand our programming as it aligns with workforce trends.
Thank you. My name is Tabar Smith. I'm the regional director of the DMV region at Emerald Cities Collaborative. At Emerald Cities, we offer ecosystem building from cross-sector partners to align with the current workforce development and climate policies and goals. We also offer contractor incubation and training that we support minority and women-owned contractors with technical assistance and business development to increase their presence in the clean energy space. We also offer pipeline development and career exploration where we create opportunities for youth and young adults to explore climate paths and green building and energy efficiency. And then we also offer community capacity building incentives that we invest in. We help invest in local leadership and the infrastructure to actually build communities and sustain the work.
All right, thank you, panelists. I'll move on to question number 2, which is, how does your organization support climate-related workforce development in the region? Please share your program or program's best practices, successes, and strategies you employ to sustain these programs. Do you want to go first, Warren?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Well, we have a number of programs, but, specifically if I look at things like our automotive program, where we're offering EV and hybrid technology to make sure that the students and the people in the future have the correct way to make sure this stuff is operating to its peak efficiency and helping us with the environment. In our building trades program alone, we have, a lot of different green technology and everything, environmental management, and we have solar technology. And in the fall, we'll be offering actually a building automation system program, which to me is one of the highlights, is that every building that we have that's under the building energy performance standards that are required by the state of Maryland and Montgomery County, we'll be training the people to make sure those buildings are operating at the peak possibility with, helping us with greenhouse gases and everything else. Okay. Our big thing is we work with our industry partners across all the disciplines to ensure that our programs meet the needs of the industry, the environment, the government, and all the regulations and everything that are out there, and meet or exceed them. So, working with the industry partners is our biggest thing. Automotive, HVAC, electrical, we're working with all these different industry partners to make sure we do it right. Our horticulture program itself, they work with the Maryland Department of Environmental Protection. They offer customized training classes in stormwater maintenance for the Maryland National Park and Planning Commission. So again, here's an area, stormwater, the maintenance of it, the erosion and stuff. So, you know, we're staying on top of it, but industry is what helps us get there by making sure that we're asking our advisory people what is necessary. And when we look at an advisory board, we're looking at, if I use HVAC as to start with, we're looking at manufacturers, the wholesale distribution chain, the contractors, the building owners, everybody who at HVAC is related, so that we keep our courses up to what's necessary, as well as what the government environmental impacts are and how to make sure that they're trained correctly. So we try everything we can to keep it going, but our industry partners is our biggest key.
Okay, thank you. I'll follow up. John Dedwall again from Prince George's Community College. Quite frankly, we would not be able to provide this type of training and exposure to careers within the climate industry without our partnership with the Department of Environment, Sustainable Energy. And that funding allows us to provide tuition-free training for our residents. And again, this is how the Sustainable Energy Workforce Development Program was developed and deployed. And I would like to highlight two partnerships that are very important to us. One, under our EV training with the Pohanka Automotive dealership, not automotive group, I should say, we have developed a partnership where our EV classes are literally held at their dealership to provide our students real world experience in the classroom, as well as within their repair centers, so that students can literally take what they learn in the classroom and apply it. Secondly, through one of our advisory board members, we're preparing our citizens for our Maryland Community Solar Program by creating a solar learning lab where students are able to receive as much hands-on training as possible to make sure that we are developing a pipeline of solar-ready installers. And so those are two partnerships, in addition to Washington Gas, PEPCO, and the utility training that we offer as well, all support careers within the renewable energy and infrastructure sectors.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just going to highlight a program. I think we really focus on the building sector. We find that because of the building energy performance standards, not only in that pass in Maryland, but also in DC, we find as a real economic opportunity, but also a sector aligned opportunity that not only you can actually build upskill minority contractors, but also upskill the current economic opportunity for the current lower and moderate income workers. So in DC, we have this DC contractor incubator that we focus on a 2-year process. It's a 7-week intensive skill training to upskill contractors in climate focused technical and business training. The program was kind of evolved into an 8-month design process with an advisory committee that include not only CDFIs, but DOEE, DCSCU, I see Crystal on the line, the local unions as well, Interfaith Power and Light as well. And it was kind of there to actually support, strengthen the capacity of minority contractors to bid and secure building energy performance projects. Since then, we supported over 63 contractors, deliver over 700 technical assistance hours. 40% of our contractors, participating contractors, actually secure climate-related projects. They also reported an average of 20% of increase in revenues and nearly 60% of hiring new staff and retaining current employees. We just wrap up our latest cohort that we focus on women intentionally, and we actually it was kind of like the first ever academy or cohort that focused on building retrofits. It was a smaller pilot that kind of intentionally designed to center and support Black-owned women and Black-owned and brown women in the space. And we introduce new different segments and partner up with CDFIs to actually deliver grants to these participants through a pitch competition that they actually did. And then we also created additional metrics that support joint venturing and strategic partnerships to actually scale in the industry that they need to actually scale in. So that was just one lessons and best practices that I just wanted to point out.
Thank you. Wow, I'm really blown away by
Yeah.
all the great work that's happening. Did you have something else, Warren, you wanted to chime in on that?
No, I just think it's fantastic to hear all this work that's going on.
Yes.
So yeah, I guess I love the word upskilling, and I'd love to hear that BEPS is creating economic opportunity out there in the community. Good stuff. So the third question is, where are there existing gaps and needs to further support climate-related workforce development in the region?
I can, again, I can jump in. I would say the gaps that I'm experiencing, and let me also commend my colleagues on the great work and clearing the paths that they are undertaking in this space. But the challenge that I have experienced is that our residents are excited about the training, but aligning them to an employment destination has been the challenge. And so we're working with our Employ Prince George's and other organizations and businesses to try to identify and align careers that are immediate and not long-term. So the gap for me, to be very specific, is how do we align the training to immediate employment apprentice opportunities so that it continues to make the training attractive for those who are either interested or transitioning into a renewable space. So that's one of the reasons why we've aligned with the utility companies, because of the immediate opportunities that they have, so that we can, again, have an employment destination and not just a great training program.
Yeah, I just want to add to the panelist point. We all seeing the training and the idea of actually placement. I do think it's a lack of communication, a lack of coordination between employers, agencies, unions, and training providers of what to actually provide within the program. And as technology, as we in these more smarter technology spaces, technology evolve and the training don't evolve with the technology as well. So
Correct.
that's one area. Also, exploring climate fields to K through 12. I think that's important, mainly because once you get to high school, you know, it's a new idea. So you have to continue to explore the idea of career and clean energy technologies earlier, like second, third grade. Sustainable funding. I think that's another idea that usually people have money to train folks, but they don't have money to actually provide the supportive services and wraparound services that go with the training. And also the placement aspect, which that's a whole different job in itself. And then they intentionally recruiting low and moderate income communities and working with third parties to actually do so. So that's from houses of worship, that's from community centers, that's from uh, community-based organizations that actually you can actually invest in to actually get the training and the materials to folks. So just wanted to point out those 4 areas.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
pretty well, we're probably all looking at the same thing. How are we going to get people involved to look at coming into these different industries and disciplines we have to help the environment, to help them themselves? How do we get to the the people who need the help to get them into the schools and things, you know. The lack of being able to show people or help people go for all of these funds that are out there that they could be using so that we can train those people and bring them into the, you know, what we need as an industry, especially with the amount of people who are retiring from the industries and, you know, what we need and the changing that's happening all the way around. So, you know, I know that here at Montgomery College, we do have a young lady who's a recruiter trying to help us get more people into HVAC with the help of some industry funding, as well as, you know, the college funding and things. But how do we get that information that the student knows, you know, or get these into being students and know that we have all these programs that's going to help them, their children, their grandchildren, whoever else down the line, by doing the environmentally items that we need done and understanding how to make the most of it, you know, and retrain people who have other areas, you know, especially in today's marketplace where we're going to have a lot of people looking for work. So, you know, we just need to find a way to promote those industries as career and technical education, that, you know, this is a future job that's not going to go anywhere. And how do we let them know that there's a lot of scholarship money out there? How do we help them go for that scholarship money?
All right, a lot of great points. I love how you pointed out, Warren, about the need to get the information out there, and about you know, this idea of reaching down further into K through 12. I remember my 7th grade shop class, and it certainly makes a lot of sense to reach kids even, you know, earlier into elementary school. And then there was the comment from you, John, about aligning with you know, more immediate employment destinations being challenging. So I just I'm going to open it up to folks for questions, but my comment question is, you know, with a lot of this stuff being new, electric vehicles are relatively new, you know, the growth of heat pumps and other stuff. I just had a heat pump installed. So a lot of this stuff is new, and I'm you know, wondering, as maybe there's less need to maintain it because it's brand new, and as time goes on and these things need to be maintained and repaired, perhaps there will be growth in those immediate employment opportunities. Any thoughts on that?
Yes, I can jump right in. Great question. So, to your point, as the EV world continues to evolve, for example, we're in development. We're working with Pepco to develop a curriculum for EV charging installation, a program, so that we can not only train the traditional automotive technicians to become, you know, certified in hybrid, but also as charging stations, as more homeowners and municipalities begin to embrace it, then we're preparing a talent pipeline for installation and maintenance of those charging stations. So that's one aspect of part 2, I should say, working with one of our utility companies to try to be proactive in that space, which will hopefully lead to immediate employment. And back to Warren and Tabara's point, that's how you keep your programs attractive, when residents see that if I take a chance on this program, it's leading me somewhere versus just sitting in another training program and receiving a certificate. So hopefully I answered your question.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think John hit
Go
it.
ahead.
I mean, that's exactly right. You know, we need to get that information out. We need to draw these people, and we need to let them know that this is a career. This is just not a, you know, a job. It's a career, and something that's going to be very useful for them for long periods of time.
All right, I see my 2 BEAC co-vice chairs are chiming in, asking their panelists if they can share their email in the chat. If you all could do that, because you're making such great comments, folks want to follow up with you. And so I'm opening up to, if folks have questions or comments to the panelists. I see my BEAC co-chair, co-vice chair, Maddie, has a question, has her hand up.
Yeah, getting back to what you guys were just talking, what are some of the, I mean, how are you guys I guess you go to schools and stuff, but how do you reach out to the community with these fantastic programs that you have, you know? I know, and I want to talk to John later on offline, but like, there's, I don't know, job fairs. Do you go to other, events and try to, bring this information to the folks? Because sometimes that's a better place to go. I mean, I don't know, how do you guys reach out to the community with all these programs?
Sure, everything you stated. Birthday celebrations, marriages. No, I'm just teasing. we try our
That
best.
works.
Right. Because our team is very, very small, but nonetheless, we do attend as many climate-related events within our region as possible. For example, I host virtual information sessions at least I try to do every Wednesday, but at least 2 Wednesdays and every month, I host information sessions where residents can come and learn about our program, the next scheduled course offerings. And I have an advisory board. We host networking events with our advisory board to attract more industry partners. I leverage social media through our communications department. So all social media platforms, print, radio, any and everything that I can do, I push the limit to try to get the word out. It's still an ever evolving plan, but that's just a quick, response to your question.
And we pretty well do the same. I mean, we try attending everything that we possibly can, any job fairs, anything that's happening in our local high schools where, we can come and talk about our programs and things. We work with our local trade associations and unions, trying to get the word out and having them help us get the word out. So we try everything we possibly can. I wish to say we're doing everything we can, but unfortunately, I think there's more we could be doing.
Yeah, I think I can. John and Warren hit it on the head. We actually have a green economy roundup table that we meet quarterly, and we promote our workshops, events through there. And so for us, we've been seeing success through brand affiliation and also targeting those community-based organizations in the wards in DC that we're trying to serve. So that's wards 5, 7, and 8. So most of our community-based organizations are in those wards. And, from radio to newspaper articles to we've been seeing a lot of things through social media. We get a lot of attention through social media. So that's the 4 or 5 ways that we've really been seeing success so far.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all that information. I like the idea of the roundtable. It seems like especially with stakeholders and stuff like that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. I think if anybody else has a quick question, we have a short amount of time. If there's like another quick comment or question.
Chair, I actually do if no one else from the audience does.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is related to sort of mapping and tracking. So you all are working obviously with like LIDAC communities, but are you sort of tracking underemployment and unemployment numbers in those what we call here equity emphasis areas or LIDAC areas, tracking the numbers and then tailoring your promotion outreach to those what you're seeing the numbers decrease in employment numbers and the types of jobs that they're losing, and a lot of it is now people are involved in like the gig economy, having like several jobs, Ubering and things like that, which is technically like hobbling jobs together just to get a living wage. But are you doing any of that mapping and tracking and then tailoring your programs and your outreach to those what you're seeing?
Yes, to an extent. I'm working with our communications team to retrieve some of those numbers. But again, when I stated that our shop, the footprint is very small. So I often say, we have to go out and hunt it, cook it and clean it and serve it. And so it's a lot to be done. But we typically understand that for Prince George's County, we view sustainable energy, renewable infrastructure. These are all emerging industries. And so we're very targeted in some of our underserved municipalities specifically. But the challenge I will share with you in that is the county in and of itself has a sustainable energy plan, but I'm also working to address the gap of the climate plan versus creating a reality of what employment looks like in this space. So hopefully I'm answering your question that I'm in the middle, but yes, we try to target our underserved communities, but therein lies my previous challenge, trying to share that this could be the first generation of a career, but I can't promise you that you're going to get a job literally when you finish. That's the gap that we're trying to close.
All right, in the interest of time, I'm going to move on to round 2 of questions. So the next question for our panelists is, what barriers do underserved communities face in the region to connecting with climate-related workforce opportunities?
I'll be more than happy to start that. I guess there's such a lack of awareness and some understanding communities about career opportunities in this type of workforce and the workforce itself. Additionally, underserved communities itself may not be aware of the endless possibilities, the cost-saving benefits of community college systems. That, the community college is a very effective way financially to move forward and get into jobs. And again, I'll come up with the scholarship opportunities that are out there, in all areas of study. I know that for some of the industries I'm involved in, just alone women in construction, women in HVACR, we have manufacturers that have money they want to give away to get people into the different disciplines that we have, so I think there's, we need to find a way of promoting that information more and more so that we are handling, especially the underserved community. I mean, it's pretty hard for us to get and hit everybody we should, and I'm not sure how's the best way to do it. I mean, I feel that I'm very lucky that I have a dean and a vice president of our workforce development that are very forward thinking and allow us to do things sometimes even out of the box, trying to get people into our programs. And, in a lot of cases, like John says, our programs can only handle X number. So one of our bigger challenges is, how do you get instructors who are willing to teach also? So, that's some of the barriers that we run into.
No, Warren I can only echo his points. He just touched on one of my pain, trying to find qualified instructors in workforce. It's great to have subject matter experts, but when it's not attractive, or our pay rate is not attractive to securing those industry professionals, it makes it very, very difficult to maintain a very robust and impactful program. So that's a barrier. And then secondly, I think I stated it earlier, just as Warren and Tabaris has stated, we see the long-term career opportunities within the renewable sectors, but the difficulty is trying to attract and retain underserved residents within the underserved communities to even look at it as an option if you can't provide an immediate opportunity and to add to add to what Tabaris stated. That's where those wraparound services are so needed to kind of assist in some of those life challenges so that that resident can focus on this type of training to develop this career.
I think I think John mentioned the wraparound services. I just want to echo that point. The wraparound services is the key to success to doing community centered workforce programs. I also want to mention teletraining as well, and hybrid training. Usually you have different training hours, but at a schedule, but on demand training is a little bit better that we find success actually doing. I think it's a lot of duplicate of programs as well, and so that kind of stall a lot of recruitment efforts through other different workforce programs across the region. Um, yeah, I'm gonna just leave it at that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next question is your organization partnering with any climate-related apprenticeship programs? Please share names and types of programs.
Okay, I'll jump in on that one. At Montgomery College, we work with the independent electrical contractors in their apprenticeship program, the Association of Air Conditioning Professionals. We're working with them on their HVAC apprenticeship program, providing some services. We work with the United Association of Steam Fitters, as well as the Washington Area New Dealer Association, and a bunch of our local and federal and government agencies throughout the region. So we try, working with every partner we can, and we're constantly watching to see what we can do to help these partners, working with people like the Montgomery County Housing Opportunity Commission, and people like that to try bringing especially the underserved people in there. The one barrier I constantly hear from students, because I like to talk to them, or speak to potential students, is that some of them don't have transportation. How do we get them to a class? How do we get them back home? And I think that's an issue that really somewhat needs to be addressed, because I'm not sure how we're going to overcome some of that.
No, great point. I will share that we're working with our local government agency, Employ Prince George's, to align as many businesses to participate in our chat and chew or advisory board meetings to identify employment opportunities. And then secondly, this most of our programs would probably be categorized as pre-apprenticeship models. However, we are working with MCM Build, which is a very successful general contracting company within our region that is the general contractor for the Prince George's County Public Schools P3, the next series of schools. And so we are working with that general contractor to identify as many renewable employment opportunities within the trades to then steer our students who complete to those opportunities as they become available. And so we're hopeful that we will have a minimum of 10 students participating in that project this summer, beginning in May. So that's an example of our effort in that area.
Yeah, we as our mission, Emerald City's mission is we promote high road economy. So we promote current already established apprenticeships across the region. But we also, I would say our programs are pre-apprenticeship or preparation programs to actually get into the apprenticeship phase if they actually choose to go that route. And but we also see the need to increase um, minority contractors' participation in becoming union signatories for large scale projects, particularly commercial projects. And when you think about large scale EV projects as well, because of the standards, the workforce standards on that project, and the pool of workers to actually get to the point to they can scale. So I think that's another thing that we are actually thinking about, and we having several conversations with unions locally and nationally about of how to actually create more pathways for minority contractors to become union signatories.
All right, thank you for those responses. the final of the prepared questions is your climate-related workforce development program linked to any local, state, or multi-state policy, initiative, or goal?
I can definitely state that our program directly aligns with the Prince George's County Department of Environment's climate report, and a part of that is to provide a pipeline for Prince George's County residents to be introduced, exposed, and prepared opportunities for training for careers within the sustainable energy field. And that literally is what our mission is for SEWDP here at the college.
Warren, if you're talking, Warren, I think you're on mute there.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. You know, we do pretty much almost the same exact stuff as everybody else here, trying our best we can. We work with the different groups and stuff. We make sure that our students are getting some certifications or things recognized, similar to the, you know, making sure that if they're in the HVAC, our program, that they're, you know, they get the EPA certification under Title VI, and make sure that they not only understand Section 608, which is technician certification, but the impact and things that are involved in it. You know, we look at other things for the Clean Air Act. We work with, you know, making sure our automotive department is getting the people the right certifications. We look at job readiness stuff, which is, you know, based on a lot of federal, state, local government requirements and everything. And again, our advisory boards are what keeps us in tune to what is their need, so that that person leaving our program has a great opportunity. You know, my biggest problem is how do we keep them in the program, because these employers want them before they complete, because they need somebody out there working, you know, and that's the scary part.
Yeah, for me, I think to just agree with what everyone said, our main, since we focus on building the building sector, our main um, uh, programs are focused around building codes and the building energy performance standard that connect. But we do look at not only DC sustainability 2.0 plan. The clean energy plan as well. We also look at procurement documents that, like DC procurement study that they recently just did, to kind of guide and formulate and understand where investments are actually going, to make sure that the programs are sustainable, but also people have opportunities that come along with the programs. And so usually uh, um, policy create programs, but it don't sustain employment. So we have to make sure that the employment, everything is on an equal page. So policy, employment, and the job training. So yeah.
If I could add one thing, no, I agree and concur with my colleagues. But I would like, when you asked the question about previously about barriers, I would like to use this platform to invite all of our municipalities that are on this call, specifically in the Prince George's County region. One of the barriers is, again, Tabarra said it earlier, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We have a model in place, and we would love to partner with our municipalities to make sure that your residents and constituents can receive the certified training. So I please invite you to reach out to me so that we can, you know, not have duplicate efforts and really impact our residents. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. I'm going to open it back up to the audience for any questions or comments. So please raise your hand if you do. And we have some questions in the chat. I see Heidi had asked if there's opportunities to work with home builders like Habitat for Humanity to provide trained labor for incorporating energy efficiency into new homes, housing for underserved. And the answer is yes and yes. We had another question about out-of-the-box efforts. I think it was related to one of the earlier prepared questions if anybody wants to address that.
Yeah, Chair, that was me asking Professor Lupson. I think he mentioned he also has a great dean who was actually on the call. I think Dean Vilmer is on the call that allows them or his program to do out of the box sort of efforts. So was just wondering what those out of the box efforts were.
Well, that allows us to see and speak to industry people and go and see what we need to do to bring in the next group of programming into our school. So, you know, they allow us as the professors, as industry advisors and everything, what do we need to do to keep up? You know, not what we need today, but what are we going to need tomorrow, the day after, a year after from now to keep up? So, you know, I'm lucky enough that the dean allows us to kind of work a little bit out of the box to bring that information in back to administration to see what can we do. You know, and a good example of that is that's something we did with our building automation. We kind of went out of the box, looked at certain things. We brought certain industry people in, took a number of years. Now we're looking at this fall, we're going to have a building automation program, you know, and that will affect every building in the DC area because every one of them are going to have to eventually, with electrification and everything, come into some kind of building automation. So, you know, if your administration is allowing you and your people to kind of don't just look at the box, but come outside the box, bring that information into us. What do we need to do to sustain that workforce that's going to be necessary?
Thank you, Warren. I would add from an innovative or out of the box methodology. I'm very grateful that our leadership, Dr. Williams, and our senior leadership, they trust our ability to be as innovative and creative as possible. For example, the building that we currently operate in, I should say, we're actually with one of our advisory partners. We're literally creating solar farms and utilizing the building as a case study for real world training. So we don't have to depend on a partner and create an experiential learning opportunity away from the actual training facility, but we're utilizing the training facility to create that real world or experiential learning opportunity here on site.
Thank you.
Right, does that finish your question?
Yes, it did.
All right, I see Vice Chair Bizzardo has her hand up with a question. Go ahead, Maddie.
Yes, hi. Tavares already mentioned a little bit of it, but for the other two panelists, has the BEPS regulations had an effect on your, I guess, on your curriculum? And the other question is, you know, you guys think you're saying about how there's some difficulty in keeping up, so to speak. Is there a way that maybe having conversations with, I don't know, the legislation, because a lot of these regulations come our way through the state. Is there ways that maybe you could have some conversations with them to see, you know, what does the future look like and how you guys can, as you say, keep up with what's changing? I don't know, just having some thoughts here.
I would agree, and I defer to my colleagues on the call.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, last week I was at the Montgomery County Energy Summit, and basically that's to get our government people to understand what we need as far as training people, what would be best for the environment and for sustainability and everything. But we work closely with our government officials, at least, you know, both in Montgomery County and our state officials.
I can just add, once these policies are passed, usually it don't come with employment incentives to actually go along with the policy. So it usually be a gap, and you see the same well-resourced contractors or the same firms usually get this type of work, and so it is a way. I mean, I see cities across the country or counties across the country that kind of mend this with different incentives or different frameworks that work. But to answer your question, it's a way to actually put amendments in policy that can support workers, but workers, not only building owners, but workers as well.
Thank you for that. That's a great punctuation point to this.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, other questions or comments? Raise your hand. Anyone from the audience have another question? So I had thrown in the chat just a random question about e-bikes. I don't know if that counts as like a climate related workforce issue. I just know my son is looking at e-bikes and thinking about those. Who's going to maintain all the e-bikes?
I wrote down that's something we need to research.
I'm not sure anybody had that e-bikes on their ride. What? I never even thought about e-bikes.
That's
and
why
there's a lot more out there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Other comments or questions?
Microtransit. It's not just e-bikes, right? There's all kinds of little microtransit.
There you go. E-scooters.
Scooters. There's
bike
all
share. So ones that have docking stations, ones that don't have docking stations, all sorts of options out there.
Right, and some of them don't charge on regular EV charging stations. They have specialized charging stations.
Yep, good point. Other questions from the audience? All right. Let's see a comment in the chat here. That the Montgomery College Environmental Horticulture Program partners with MCPS on various tree planting activities. Thank you. Yeah, tree planting sounds like a great part of this conversation. All right, so do we have any parting thoughts, any final remarks or comments from our panelists at this time?
I'd like to say that, I have to, Tobias and John, thank you. You've given me a lot of good information to come back to Montgomery College with. It's always good to hear from others on things that we could be doing to make this better. So I really appreciate it, and I appreciate the council letting us come and be part of this panel.
I would agree and echo your points. I've learned something new and want to stay engaged with both you and Tavarius. And I want to thank the Council of Governments for having us today. And please, again, I invite anyone, not necessarily, but anything you want to share so that we can improve upon our programs to create this ecosystem. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you, John and Warren, for your information today. I'm looking forward to continuing the conversation offline. And also the Council of Governments, thank you for having me and looking forward to working with you in the future.
All right, well, Tavares, John, Warren, thank you so much. We really appreciate you spending some time with us and very, very informative. We all have your contact information, so I'm sure that there'll be some connections made and a lot of future conversations based on this discussion. So thanks again.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
on behalf of COG and ICF, I wanted to thank the three panelists. I'm definitely sure with our workforce development program through CPRG CCAP, we'll be following up with you, and then it sounds like you'll get a lot of follow-up from our individual member governments. So thank you. And we do have a presentation from Professor Lupson, so that will be posted on the COG website.
Thank you.
All right, so I think we're ready to move on to our next agenda item. We're ahead of schedule. So I'm going to turn it back over to COG staff for announcements.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Carr. Just very quickly, you heard from Maya. Our Air and Climate Public Advisory Committee, ACPAC, launches its annual Climate and Energy Leadership Awards. It runs through April 22nd, Earth Day, to June 30th. The program started back in 2014, so it's over 10 years old. That program highlights stewardship projects and programs across 3 main areas: NGO, government, and educational institution. Those projects are to sort of focus on, LIDAC communities, underserved communities related to climate, energy, and air. This year, we are giving away 5 awards. We're doing 2 in the government category. For small and large governments, the cutoff point is 90 populations of 90,000. And then 2 awards in the NGO category, which would include nonprofit and for-profit. We've been working with our Office of Communications to sort of bring in more businesses into the program. So again, 5 awards this year, 2 in government and 2 in the NGO category. So you do have the flyer that was sent to you and will be posted, but you'll get a launch email from COG staff. We're really working hard to sort of highlight all of those areas. And as well, although we're not giving away 2 awards in the educational area, but we are really trying to get some participation from the K through 12 groups. We do get a lot from the high school applicants and as well as universities, but we really are trying to focus a lot on K through 12 in the region. So please look out for that information, especially our workforce development folks panel. I'll certainly put you on the list, so your programs certainly do fit into eligible projects and programs. So look out for that information and apply. It's a really easy application in terms of what's required, but please look out for that information. And I'll turn it over to Maya. She did talk about the mid-course review survey, but if there's anything else that you'd like to add, Maya, please do.
Yeah, thank you. So mid-course review survey, it's due next Friday. We're asking for it by next Friday so that we can have a couple weeks to analyze and prepare a summary presentation to CPC at the 3rd week of May. I would encourage you all to send in what you have so that we can get started on that analysis. And if you have additional information to add after that, we'll be happy to take it, and then we'll present what we have to CPC so far, and as well at that time encourage you all to continue to submit responses if you haven't been able to get back to us. But we've already got in a number of responses, and we appreciate that. In addition, I wanted to note that we've talked a little bit about our DC SEU workforce development program and the externs that we have. This mid-course review survey is actually our core project for our DC SEU extern. And so they're also going to be presenting their results to their cohort in their externship as, kind of like a capstone project for their externship. So I wanted to mention that as well, that is connected to our workforce development efforts here at COG as well, in partnership with the DCSEU. And hopefully this conversation today will help kind of jog your thoughts around a response to the one workforce development question that is in that survey that Deb from ICF touched on earlier. So appreciate the whole conversation today. Really, really enlightening. So thanks, everybody.
And Robert, were you going to say anything about the EJ action plan?
Sure, yes, I can do that. So as you may know, we put out a draft action plan for written comment in so March, and the written comment period has ended, and now our contractor Ecom is doing a follow-up round of public listening sessions to take the draft back to the communities that informed its development in the first place. Once the edits that have been approved by the subcommittee have been made to the document, it will be reviewed at this month's UJ subcommittee meeting and then taken to MWAC for approval in May. Thank you.
Thank you, COG staff. Are there any other announcements that people want to share at this time?
There are not. I don't see any in the chat either. If you do, be sure to raise your hand or drop it in the chat, but I don't see any now.
Okay, the next meeting for the Built Environment and Energy Advisory Committee, BEEAC, is scheduled for June 12th. It's the second Thursday of the month instead of June 19th, because June 19th is a federal holiday. So thanks again to all of our presenters and to the COG staff for putting this meeting together. Hope it was informative. All of our attendees and participants appreciate you. And at this point, we are adjourned, and have a great week.
Thank you.
Everyone have a great weekend, and thank you to everyone.